Get up. There's no doubt about that. You are going to get up and do some of those doors. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bounty Hunters. Thank you for coming by and visiting with us again. How is everyone doing?
Pretty good these past 2 weeks. I'm missing the show.
Yeah, it's been two weeks.
I was called in to our overlords. They wanted to have a discussion with me about the show and about my violations of copyrights. No, I'm just playing. I took the kids to Disney World, and it was pretty cool. It was hard for me though because it was a we kind of had to let people help us with that, and I'm not big about, as anybody knows, receiving gifts. But when you have a once in a lifetime thing, you got to kind of make it happen. So we went. I told the wife I have no desire to see the Star Wars. I'm putting my foot down. Not going to Galaxy's Edge. I'm done with Disney and Star Wars. They have ruined my Star Wars. Coming to a video near you. This is just one thing.
Did you stand at the edge of Galaxy's Edge just looking in?
No. Eventually, this is my blue milk. And I have more than one of these, and I have no idea how much they cost. It glows. This is just one of coming to a video near you soon. All the crap that I bought at Star Wars, and I didn't work. I didn't stay away.
Nice. Do you get a tan? Do you
get a tan? Calling you a liar for that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it outside?
If you didn't get anything, did the kids get anything?
Well, I mean, not really. Not from Star Wars. I mean, I could say. Yeah, I could say they got stuff, but really, I mean, let's be honest. Like it was me purchasing things from them. So I'll have to make a video of all the stuff I got. And it's just going to be funny because you're going to see all the stuff I got. And I, had announced that I was not going to be going to Star Wars and I wasn't giving Disney not 1 cent of my money. And yet I'm going to have to make a video about everything I got from Star Wars.
You should stitch in the videos of you waiting in line.
Don't get me started on that. What's happening, NYC? I don't know if I'm gonna go live. What do you think? Should I go live or do a pre-recorded one? So lines are a real thing for sure, but I will say this: it's Disney. So even though I'm like annoyed by everything that they do, Star Wars, once you cross that, it's like the road changes from, I forgot where you're coming from, but once you're clearly into the Star Wars land or whatever it is, it's pretty orgasmic. It's pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you. Man. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like, I was sending you guys pictures just randomly.
How big is the place technically? Because I always wondered, like, if you were to walk from the entrance there to like the farthest point, I guess, with the farthest attraction area.
It's not a very big area, honestly, but I mean, it kind of fits with everything else. Like, but no, it's not very big, and it's hard to know though because a lot of the Star Wars stuff you have to have you had to have got an appointment to do it. So you just can't walk over there. Like if you wanted to get on a ride, you had to make an appointment like weeks in advance, or you have to get into I guess there was a couple times during the week you can go on a ride at 1:00 and you have to have your the phone ready to go and click book as soon as it goes if you want to ride some of the rides.
Good Lord.
So we never got to ride one of the rides. Stupid. You have almost no shot of building a lightsaber unless you're planning like 3 or 4 months ahead of time, apparently.
What?
And even getting in, even getting in to buy stuff, like if you want to go buy, something from the thing, you have to kind of wait in line, and then I don't almost announce what you're going to buy before they let you walk in. It's kind of weird, and they really only did that at the Star Wars part. Nowhere else did they really do that.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's the best part of the Disney World.
So that's what you did. You just said you want to buy 10 life model lightsabers. They let you through the line, and you just bought the blue milk container, right?
Yeah, the blue milk was on the side, so you could buy the blue milk. I got that. I guess we'll say it. I built one of the droids, right? And we had to. There's a lady that was helping us because this was a last minute thing to go to Disney World. It wasn't planned, and so we got like a Disney World person that helps you. What do they call those people?
Staff members.
Boring.
Yeah, no, it was like a travel agent, and she was awesome. Like she got us stuff that wasn't supposed to be able to get. And the last day she said, well, do you guys want to build a droid? I got a spot. I only got one though. And I was like, yeah. And the whole way there, the wife was like, "You're building a droid." And like right before I got there, I was like, "You know what? Let the boy build the droid." And the staff member heard me, and she said, "It's only for one, but the girl that gives you the basket has no idea how much you booked it for. So when you go in there, she's whispering to me, just tell her two." And I was like, "No, because those droids aren't free." And the wife was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Do it." And I was like, "Oh my God."
You could just go and help him. Could you just go in there and help him?
So we ended up building it. We ended up building 2 droids, and it was pretty awesome. To be honest, it was pretty fun.
NYC, we are all Star Wars addicts.
And then the other thing that I would say that did warm my heart. See, here it goes. I knew it. I knew door was opening. And he disappears. I knew it.
Hey, I didn't get up though. I told you I didn't get up.
The thing that you could turn. Is there nowhere else that you could have that camera that keeps her like locked in that room? Couldn't you turn it where she could walk out of her own room without?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to help.
Not until I get like one of those green screens or projector screen stands to put the banner from it behind me.
There you go. All right, so really quick until we get to our thing, I'll say this really quick. Yeah. I guess I should have saved it for the other thing, but here's it is. The thing that warmed my heart. There's a thing that they can walk on, right? Because they're not allowed to. The characters aren't allowed to walk with the people anymore because of COVID. So they're walking along, and it like every I don't know. I saw them twice, but Rey comes out and then Chewbacca comes out, right? The crowd makes a point, obviously, obnoxiously makes a point to scream Chewbacca. And nobody screams Rey. And it was hilarious the first time because even Chewbacca's kind of like raising his hands. And after a while, he kind of like almost steps back and it's kind of, you can tell, trying to push her forward. And everybody's like, "Chewbacca, you rule." And of course, people just running by and my kids are screaming, "Chewbacca, you're famous." Look at everybody screaming your name. And I'm like, Chewbacca is popular, but I think it's a little more devious than just that. But here's the part that kind of made me feel bad. Because at first I was like, yes, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of my fellow nerds for just rejecting this situation. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if it's because she's not well liked, but the Rey character, the person who plays that, is the nicest, sweetest person I have ever seen. If there is a girl that has a Rey costume, she makes it a point to go over to them. And she was talking to this one girl for like 5 minutes. And she gets on her knees, and she's not really supposed to get too close, but you can see her. And I didn't see anybody engaging that much. It didn't crack the dark soul that is my hatred for Rey, but it did make me feel bad. Like, that's a really nice person that's like going out of their way to say hi to like a girl who's dressed like Rey. And the rest of everybody's like, "Get out of here, Rey, Chewbacca!" Like, I was like, sometimes maybe we're going too far, boys.
She redeems it. Which is probably the only way she can make that character interesting.
So all that being said, who are we discussing tonight, Canadian?
We are talking about the Jedi Padawan, or former Jedi Padawan, Barriss Offee.
Barriss Offee, you say?
Yeah.
And
where's Kenobi?
Barriss Offee. Okay, so I'll just do a quick little opener if it will pop up here. There it goes. Here we go. Barriss Offee was a female Mary Allen Jedi Knight. She was the Padawan under Jedi Master Illuminari Unduli. Offee always preferred going deep into ancient Jedi text and tactics, opposed to fighting. However, she was present and fought in both battles for Geonosis. Despite only being a Padawan, she was one of the few Jedis to actually survive the battles. As the Clone Wars wore on, she became close friends with Asoka Tano. She also grew more and more disillusioned with the Jedi and the Republic. She believed the Jedi had lost their way from the ideas they were supposed to represent and blamed the Jedi Council in particular. As her feelings grew, she decided to act upon them and orchestrated the bombing of the Jedi Temple. And even though Offee and Tano had become very close friends, she allowed Tano to take the blame and framed her for the bombing. She only later confessed to her role after Anakin Skywalker caught her and brought her to justice. Offee was allowed to express her views of the Jedi and the Republic in front of the tribunal. We will now discuss Jedi Knight Barriss Offee. Was her views of the Jedi and the Republic ahead of its time, or was she simply just touched by the dark side? Join us. All right. That is her. A few things I will say that I found really quick today, actually, was that she had brown, blackish hair, obviously tattoos. Her people got a tattoo every time like a big thing happened for them in their culture. They got another tattoo. She was considered a seemingly ideal example of a Jedi Padawan, and she was obviously a very studious individual, and she was able to memorize entire layouts upon command of anything, of wherever she was at. She was asked to memorize them. She could do it. And then another thing I found out, her people, Marialanis, whatever they are, they typically are allowed by the Jedi Order to only train each other. Like nobody else trains them because it's part of their culture.
Oh, I remember that because the master obviously is the same.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That was kind of a neat little sidebar there. So this seemingly perfect example of a Jedi Padawan later decides, we finna blow it all up. We finna do it. What we got to do and blow it to the sky.
We got to close the season off right.
It was interesting. And when we were discussing this, I was telling them that I don't know. I just thought it was a very interesting turning point because you see it, and the more that we do this show, the more and more you see there was a lot of Jedis, and not necessarily just Jedis, other people who thought something was rotten in Denmark. There's something shady going on, and I you know what? Part of me is sad when we do these things, though, a little bit. I don't know how you guys feel, because the more it happens, the more obvious it is, the more I wonder. Like, I had such a high. Like, was there a being better than Yoda? Was there a being better than some of them? And the more that we dig into this and deep dive, the more I'm thinking, was he though? Because he seems like he was easily duped.
You know, ignorance is bliss was his actual catchphrase.
I mean, I get it that Darth Sidious. What's happening in Peter Parker comics? I know that Darth Sidious is like considered, that was his thing of fooling people with the dark side. That was his greatest power. But man, there was a lot of warnings that a lot of people, including other Jedis, were doing that they just simply ignored the entire time.
But I think maybe Barriss Offee was probably one of the ones that may have tapped into that, and because she was very introspective, just her people are in general, and I read that she with a lightsaber, she was always very defensive, never really attacked. And so she, used her feelings a lot, could really kind of probe into what people were thinking. And maybe she thought that he was turning to the dark side or was already on the dark side. And that kind of warped her perspective of why the Jedi were, loving this guy so much. Why could they not?
Deceptions.
Yeah, I did watch a video that I thought was interesting, and I think they were trying to say maybe that was some of the problem. But I kind of wonder, well, I mean, how could it not? They were saying that her particular master was very, not as standoffish, but they don't get close, I guess. I don't know if it's just those two or if it's her culture. They don't make that like really tight bond. And they were saying, as in, and they started listing the people who do, and it was just like a connect the dots of how Anakin became Darth Vader. And I was and they were saying it like, you see how it could be all nice and they all like each other, and these were too standoffish. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what point you're trying to make, because that point led to some pretty nasty things.
Because perhaps their culture doesn't, just like the Jedi is supposed to not have any attachments to things and people especially. And the fact that she had that coming from both directions, from her religion or culture, and then also from being a Padawan, she was forced to not have any attachments at all, except maybe her mentor, Luminaria, and that could have forced her to, disassociate with good things, kind of like criminals, right?
Yeah, and we'll deep dive if we ever just kind of go to Jedis in general. But I did watch, it was a random show, and I was just watching it to YouTube, and he brought up Jedis, and it was weird because it was a show about something totally different. I think I was watching like 3 times somebody went dark or whatever, and he actually mentioned Jedis in it. They were showing studies of what happens when human children right at the beginning don't get love and attachment like right away, and the high percentage of mental illness and high percentage of not having compassion, and basically like serial killers. And he was comparing it to what the Jedis did. And I was like, wow, that went really dark. I don't know if he meant that. It went super dark. I was like, oh my.
Well, when you look at Anakin, he kind of, he lost his mom, he had no dad, and he he was forced into battle at like 7.
A slave before that.
And his future wife was like his school teacher because she was like 3 times his age. I mean, it was all kind of creepy. Stay Puff, King Instagram, what's happening, baby?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. So it was definitely an interesting thing. So okay, so I have her in the movie. This is a lot of cutting and pasting, and I apologize. I already got taken to the woodshed once by the overlords, so hopefully this is gonna be okay.
How much longer I can hold off the Verg, my friends? More and more star systems are joining the Separatists. Good.
The Trade Federation is to take delivery of a droid army.
All right, and obviously she has some over-the-shoulder appearances. I don't know if anybody saw that. I was saying that.
Yeah.
And they were through the 2 like kind of darker shadows in the background. They're always in the background, but it's cool that a lot of those people were in there.
What's always killed me is all those characters like Luminara as well, and then like Luminara, they have these crazy headpieces and all this outfits. So you don't ever see them move. They're like this very slight movements because you don't want everything to just fall apart as soon as they turn the wrong way.
But I think she quite impressive. She had a few more appearances in the movies than in the comics.
Yeah, that's actually really
at least the canon comics.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So she obviously, I mean, you guys are going to discuss the comic book stuff, but she obviously got known for the cartoon. She's in the cartoon a lot. And her, and I mean, I remember reading something that Filoni wasn't expecting her to, do much, and then it just kind of kept building and building and building up to he had I guess it made assurances that she was going to die. And then at the last second, he was like, "Nah, we're not doing that."
It's pretty interesting. Her character being sort of intertwined later on, being changed entirely just based on the relationship with Ahsoka, and then we'll go over the many ways that she died or was originally planned to die, and currently no death either in canon.
Yeah.
So.
And currently, perhaps in the Asoka Tano series, right?
Well, you know what? They said when we got put into this other stage 1 again, it said 21 more days until stage 2 minimum, and then you can get haircuts. So I don't know. Maybe I think I'll let it keep going.
Well, we've been on lockdown free since like January, and I just we're just gonna let's see how many different ways the hair just frizzes and becomes its own life form. So yes, so we see her first, like I just showed in the battle, where all the Jedi who are supposed to be so awesome just get cut down like dirty dogs. I still really haven't got a great. I mean, I've heard there's a few YouTube videos that explain why they all died, except for 10 or whatever it was in that battle. I mean, they had overwhelming numbers, obviously odds, but we saw her in there, and then we don't see her again until
she survived,
cartoons,
I believe, right? Because she was in the movie in there.
So she's not. She was in episode 3. We see her in the. We see her in the Clone Wars 2D cartoon, the Tartakovsky one. We see her in one episode where she goes to Elam with her master. And
oh, really?
Yeah, that's the one where so obviously that's the show that will get us completely knocked off YouTube for some reason.
Yeah.
But basically, she goes. So as a synopsis, she goes there with her master to check up on the the Elam, the planet that gives the lightsaber crystals, and then a bunch of droids showed up. They broke down part of the ice and trapped them. So Yoda and Padme show up to rescue them. It's very good.
She's been there in almost every part of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
small parts.
And then I would say that yes, that show you're discussing that we will not mention, I learned my lessons about. That's why you saw it appearing nowhere in my intro, because that is a hot button for Disney apparently.
That's the bad hammer.
Also, Star Wars Galaxies, I believe it is. It's a pretty was at one time a pretty large mobile game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very predatory, I would say. You need to spend thousands of dollars to keep up, but a lot of mobile games are. She was a healer in that game, and then I think I was reading an article that was saying that people, even like some Star Wars fan sites called her a healer, but other than that game, there's not a lot of canon of her being some kind of famous healer. So it's kind of weird that a lot of people thought that she was some kind of famous healer because of a mobile video game. Thank you, modern world.
But she does appear in the Legend story as a healer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In the Republic comic. Which
doesn't say anything. She's talked about and she appears, but she doesn't say anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good transition then to get into the comics. The very brief amount of comics there are.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Definitely the smallest of all the characters we talked about.
Let me get this pulled
I was
up
hoping
here.
to see the Kenobi intro.
Oh.
Who doesn't see a Kenobi intro? What?
Hello. Hello there.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about all those.
Hello there.
Oh yeah, and there's something very cool that happened when I do that video live or whatever. Something I bought from Star Wars, that I bought it because it was cool, and then I got home and I read the directions, and then it got way cooler. I'll have to show that later. Obviously, me showing Kenobi, it might have just gave it some part of the why it was cool away.
I still know it.
All right, so let me share my screen. All right, share. All right, now, Chung, you're in charge of chat.
Ooh.
The power resides with you.
All right, so where do you want me to start it?
Go up. P1.
Number one?
Get that one there.
Very nice. Boom.
So yeah, basically this is issue 1 of the Clone War Attack of the Clones adaptation. Dark Horse originally. Ignore the top left.
Yeah.
So these, as a note, the art in this. Sorry, the episode 3 the art I think was absolutely atrocious. This one was fine, like it was just there. But that's the first time you see her. Again, like the movie, in the shadows, she's somewhat over the shoulder there.
Is this the first time you see her?
Yeah, in that this scene there.
Oh, hold on now.
I
Hold
know.
on, man.
Whoa. That's her cameo.
The spec talk. We got to make sure.
You have to hit it.
You got it.
So there's her. Not quite over shoulder. It's a little disappointing, but she's in the background. It's fine.
Always associated with, what is that Jedi called? The potato head guy.
Oh God.
Caddy Mundy.
Yeah,
Caddy Mundy, the
Mundy.
cereal. The cycle.
He's supposed to be like a super awesome fighter too, but that's for another show.
And then issue 3, she shows up again.
Look at that.
Jesus.
Yet another cameo.
Yeah, another just cameo. This one is definitely over the shoulder.
There we go.
Barely recognized.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Just looking like a legend.
Behind what's his name? Plo
Plo Koon.
Plo.
And then yes, after that, that's lightsaber in Attack of the Clones. Funny enough, I would have thought she would have been in the arena battle in that comic, like across all the things, but you don't see her.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like a speck in the corner, but that's it. So the next time you see her is in the Republic comics. This is issue number 58.
Yep. Yet another cameo. Because she doesn't speak.
Oh,
They
good.
refer to her, so they refer to her by her name. That's the first time you see her.
Yeah, first time you see her. The funny thing is she still doesn't talk either.
She's healing, though.
She is healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's that battle. Is that the second Genosha battle? Or is that later?
That's later. That's in the show. So in this comic, basically what happens is...
Oh, yeah, that's that. They leave those guys on the planet, right? They decide to take the clones with them instead of the people that lived there that defended their planet.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
And then after that, you'll see in this one has more to do with her. Is issue 65. It jumps ahead.
This is the who's who that can be taken out within 2 seconds by one guy.
I just realized that is the whole truth.
This is the other one that bothered me. I like him. The other two are yahoos, but yeah, this is the who. Oh, they all go down.
So this is her first full appearance, 65.
Yeah, she actually speaks. First thing, Master Windu. So yeah, this is her doing her healing like at for full show.
Oh yeah, here. That's it right there. Yep.
And I acknowledge too, I don't remember if it's the same. It's supposed to be the same character or just the same species, but that Jedi there awfully looks like the one that what's his name? It's not in the Clone Wars episode when they first reveal the chips, and then the one clone kills the Jedi, and that sparks off the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, she looks like her, or at the very least, the same species. So you actually get action for once with her.
Oh, nice.
So it's just standing still.
Yep. Leaps in the battle.
That's not bad art. That's not bad.
Yeah. So they get ambushed. A couple guys attack. They set the place on fire, and the other Jedi holds it up while Offee keeps protecting the clones.
And she gets wounded.
Yeah. Then Windu shows up to help save the day, and she tells him about what happens, and that's what leads Windu with the rest of his strike force to continue. And then you don't see her ever again.
Ooh.
You see her back at issue 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, before we open,
I'm getting eye cancer. What in the world is wrong with their faces?
The art is horrible in this.
Oh my gosh! Look
The adaptation is horrible. It's like they were trying to do the photo scan thing they were doing with the new Marvel Star Wars comics, but it was way too early to do it.
Let me tell you something. This looks like if I wanted to send you a funny meme and I just photoshopped our faces onto random Jedi bodies. That is what this looks like right here.
Zoom in.
Slightly better, but that is bad looking. Oh wow!
Can you zoom in a bit?
You have to.
Oh, look at him.
Anakin, oh my lord.
Something's wrong with the eyes. They're
the image of Mace Windu, I think they just scanned that from some other Samuel Jackson movie. They had to have, look at that face. He's more emotion there than he does in most of the movies.
And the funny thing is, when you're looking slightly down, there should be less of the forehead showing. And they decided to expand the forehead to an outrageous amount. It's okay. That's fine.
So before we get into it, the only panel she shows up in is the Order 66 scene. Now, originally, what happened, the original scripts for Order 66, they showed all the different Jedi deaths. And for Aayla Secura, when she dies on Felucia and gets shot down by all the clones, for some reason, Barriss was there, not Luminara. Luminara wasn't there with her, just Barriss was on the planet. And this is literally what the storyboard showed, and they just copied it right over. And this was her death originally in the script. So you got Aayla Secura, just going.
Oh yeah, remember this?
Barriss sliced droid in half, and then
wow, wow, they just went all out on her, huh? Okay, all right,
disintegrated.
Maybe it's so. It's honestly so bad. But actually, what's kind of funny is the clones attacking Ayla. So if you go to the very top, it got quiet all of a sudden. Bly, do you think it's the droids? No.
No.
You know what though? In the movie, when she dies, I always thought it was really bad because she like dramatically spins, and like if she got shot that many times, she should be full of holes. Instead, she just kind of. It looks like if you were playing with your kid, and you said, "Bang, you're dead now, fall down," and they didn't really want to hurt themselves. That's what it kind of looks like in the movie.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's
Dramatically falls to the ground.
The only time it was ever redeemed was in the Battlefront 2 game, the story mode. There was a part where Tamora Morrison's doing the narration as the clones, and they're talking about the scene with Ayla Secura, and they're saying that it's a good thing we were wearing. She sees all of us as good soldiers and as friends. It's a good thing we were wearing helmets that day. Otherwise, we couldn't bear to her to look us in the face. It's a really good line. And then in the movie, they just make her do a ballerina twirl.
Colonel turned up. He said it's the Dollar General version of the comic.
Yeah, I would agree.
Four for a quarter.
Yeah. But otherwise, that's all the comics and legends. She appears in just the 2 adaptations of the movie and 2 issues in the
She's
Republic.
crazy, considering she has such a presence, right?
Yeah. And then after that, the next time you see her from that, I think that was like 2005. It must have been the adaptation, or 2006 if it was like after the movie. But the next time you see her in a comic is Star Wars Adventures 20 from it would be closer to 20 after 2015 for sure.
This is Tales from Wild Space, so this is a special edition one.
Yes, they had like multiple things in it.
T-Pain says, "What's up, Mr. G?"
What it is? T-Pain, my man. What's happening, dude? I kind of like this art style. I read this the last time too.
Mm-hmm. So this story is it's funny enough. This has more panels of her than all the other appearances combined. This mini story is actually centered on her, and she's sent by Luminara to go retrieve a book from this temple.
Right. It's like a computer game. Every time you turn, it's like dip, 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 dip.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically got to, get all these little mini quests.
Yeah. She says she's playing a video game quest.
Yeah, that is pretty
Driving through the doors.
This is if you don't do the running start, then slide first, you'll die by the third thing. So she obviously took a running start. She did a good job. Held down the X button before she hit the A button. She did a good job.
Yep. Lightsaber out and all.
Oh, she even threw the saws in there. That's so awesome.
Jumped the saws. No lightsaber. Yeah. She put it away.
Oh, look. And even the fake statue even tried to get it. Woo!
Yep.
It's exciting. Oh, come on. Let's go. I got to know what happens next.
Need like the Super Mario.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to just do it manual style. Where'd it go?
P64. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, and the bridge is collapsing.
The bridge collapses.
Yeah.
And then she fights a mirror. Then she fights a mirror version of herself. So obviously,
just like when the Balrog attacked.
Yeah.
I know. I said it the other day on Instagram. I'm telling you, if you haven't watched Lord of the Rings for a long time, watch it again. That movie holds up for how old it is. My goodness.
Oh yeah.
And then she finds the book.
It disintegrates in her hands. And
that's how we feel when we find a good comic that looks really old, and you pull it out of the bag and board, and the whole cover of it just falls apart in your hand.
You're like,
isn't this the story? I think I've read this. Isn't this the story where she was like, "Oh, I wasn't really expecting you to actually get it anyway after she went through all this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is funny. Yeah. So.
The classic teachings.
Yes.
It's all about the journey.
It was a teachable moment. And then later on, when she bombs the Jedi Temple, people are like, "I'm surprised. I never saw this coming." Look at her.
And she gives her that anime smile at the bottom there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Master. I failed. That's okay. You're supposed to. What do you mean?
I never expect you to bring it back.
lame.
I imagine if she was a little more emotional, she might have just stayed there, like piecing it together, all sad. And like, I can't touch my master now; she'll kill me.
Like, this is best, right? Then you knew all along it would crumble to dust. Now you're starting to get it. Do you know how jerkish that is? Like, that's like the jerkish. Combine that with this smile right here. Like,
I see why she probably didn't like her master too much.
wow. Like, and look at this. Like, you're telling me, look at this face right here. It was a test. That's not like, oh my God, thank you for this life experience. That's like, well, I'm going to bomb the hell out of y'all. You know that, right? I'm going to burn it down.
I was
I'm going to burn this all down.
Waste my weekend. I could have easily been doing some death sticks.
Yep.
We finna burn it down right now. My stapler's gone. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's all the comic appearances.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
She's such, like, I gotta say, she's such a rich character. She has so much potential, and yet that's all they have. They can't even come up with like backstories and, you know, side adventures, except jumping over bands.
Marvel. Oh. That got all jumpy.
Jumping
I was
over
gonna say, since Marvel has been doing the comics again, I'm surprised they haven't like put her in anything. Like even like the what I was most surprised about was the Age of Republic stuff. She wasn't in any of them. She was mentioned, but she was never shown, which what I thought was interesting because that would have been a straightforward place to put her.
That's to me, that's such a glaring omission that I'm hoping that means that when they ask him, he's saying, I got plans or something. That has to be, because it doesn't make sense not to. She's too big. And then that will just lead me into, so during the cartoon, she met Asoka Tano and they became really close friends. Really close. Then I actually have it here. I was telling him I did notes today. Okay, so well, I guess I don't have that. What did I do with that?
But
here it goes. She met once she started, her feelings started, you know, having issues with the Republican and Jedi Order. Her growing disillusionment eventually led to her to bomb it. She had met a new friend, Tutso Mara, however you say her name. And she was just a regular citizen who believed that the Jedi were. She was like an anti-war activist, some hippie, you know, long-haired, sticky hippie. And they are the ones that kind of planned the bombing. And after the bombing happened at the Jedi Temple, she kills her to make sure she doesn't cover her tracks. So she's full on. She's in there, man. She's no going back now. She done birthed the ship. There's no coming back off the island now.
That's not the woman that she used, right? That ate the
No, it's Letta Turmond. Letta Turmond is the co-conspirator.
Okay.
Sorry, I said the wrong one.
Weird fun name. So
yeah, well, it's Star Wars names, so they just, you know. So to cover her tracks, which I'm kind. That's the only part of me that is kind of, and I would like to. I think that's something they could dive deep into. She had her beliefs. She was very strong with her beliefs. She believed that the Jedi lost their way. The Republic helped them lose their way. They were not doing right. They were either already fully on the dark side or going down the path of the dark side. And so if you're willing to do that, if you don't take that kind of stand, even throughout history, people are willing to take a stand to bomb something to show. They usually don't hide. They usually want people to know. So the next step in her plan was to basically allow Ahsoka to take the fall, and went pretty deep into it, even pretending to be Ventress for a while to let her take the fall. And only our brave hero Anakin was the one that brought her into justice, and I actually have it here. This is her court scene. I thought it was pretty interesting because it kind of lets her rant a little bit.
I did it because I have come to realize what many people in the Republic have come to realize, that the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. That we've so lost our way that we have become villains in this conflict. That we are the ones that should be put on trial. All of us.
And then I had to break up in two parts to make the overlords less angry with me. So let's show the second.
And my attack on the temple was an attack on what the Jedi have become. An army fighting for the dark side. Fallen from the light that we once held so dear. This Republic is failing. It's only a matter of time.
Yep, and they were fighting for the dark side, Sidious.
Yeah, and
He's up there going like her.
and then now of course Disney being Disney, they one of those people that were there ends up being the Grand Inquisitor later on. He was there during that little trial, so that's kind of an interesting. So when we were talking about this, it led me to I didn't write down a whole bunch of different people, but I know, but one of the big ones is one of my favorite characters, and that is Count Dooku. Obviously, we'll go over Count Dooku more, but he also became disillusioned with the Jedi Order. He thought he'd become disconnected to the Force and was too engaged in politics, too involved in the Republic. He said there was, he kept saying there was corruption everywhere. And then I wrote down the conversation between him and Kenobi, and it said, great pity our paths never crossed before. He said, Qui-Gon would never have joined you. Don't be so sure, my young Jedi. You forgot that he was once my apprentice. He also knew about the corruptions of the Senate, but he would never have come along if he had known the truth as I have. And that's what he said. A dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend. Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious. And he goes on to talk about the Viceroy of the Trade Federation, which we also know who that is later. And so you have, some pretty prominent Jedis. I mean, they almost wept whenever Dooku left. And then this shining example of, they all kept saying of what, you want a Padawan to be. And they both said, no, you guys are going down the path. Clearly, I guess their anger turned to the dark side, if you want to say that, and they went about it the wrong way. But she was even allowed to let her friends and everyone go down for her, which I still think that's kind of weird. And I would like the story. There could be a cool story. They could find out why she'd be willing to do that instead of just stand up proudly and say it was me, like when she finally got caught. So it's kind of weird, unless she had other plans, which is kind of the thing.
Or had fear in her of being out of it immediately or something.
Yeah, and then there's obviously some repercussions to this. This is a big, giant thing for the Jedi. I don't know when the last time that something happened. And I wrote this down. Her portrayal had an impact on a lot of people. And just after this, I actually read this in the book. I can't remember which one it is, but it's Quinlan Vos when he goes with Ventress, and he kind of turns the dark side for a minute. And because of her, you now had a lot of people, including Mundi, okaying Jedis to be executed for disloyalty and going to the dark side. And
did not know that.
Yeah, and he
like he would do that. He'd be the first one to advocate for that.
Yeah, he does.
He's
I remember in the book, he was, and I remember I kind of like reading the book, and when you're reading a book and you kind of like jerk your head back, like, what did you just say? Like, and the whole time I'm like, say something, little green guy, like stand, the path is dark going down this one, like say something, and he was just not saying anything.
Yeah, I was sitting there listening to it, and Mundy's like, you know what? Executions are back on the plate. Get the guillotine out from storage. Yoda's like,
what did they decide for her as punishment?
Enough. So they just threw her in the jails, like where they threw a lot of the the supermax they had. And originally, that was near the end of season 5, which, as a lot of people know, that's when this show ended. They brought back season 6 with a couple episodes on Netflix, where it was like ones that were finished or almost finished, and then eventually, as we know, season 7. But originally, Filoni had it planned where dark enough, and Offee would actually off herself in jail and commit suicide as a different ending for her, opposing getting blasted by the AT-TE in episode 3. But eventually they just never went through with it. They never confirmed it as canon in any form. And Filoni had said that he had other plans for her eventually.
So she was on a long path of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Just through her training, through her background as her race.
Yeah.
And I think she probably developed some kind of dual personality.
Being tugged in every direction, yeah.
And she maybe wanted to frame Asoka so that she could confront her later. And she did a pretty good job at being Ventress.
Yeah.
And she did fight her eventually. So maybe, and this is why I put that picture of the worm, the brain worm. She got the brain worm.
She did. I forgot about that.
And I think that could have been a big turning point for her becoming what she did.
Her kicking off point, like how the chips are for clones. For her, it was the brain worm that changed her mentality.
Yeah, and it really took her into that dark place.
And then I will also say, following up on that also, is that there's also other stressors that she had in her life too. Like there was that scene where when they go to her and Ahsoka go down there again, they believe they're going to die, and they get in that tank, and only the tank saves them. And they were kind of allowed to die. And, and if you're already going through all this, and you're like, they just let me and this other person, go through this crazy thing. We're Padawans, and we were going to die for this. And for what? Like, what are we dying for? So that was more maybe some, mental gymnastics she was having to do.
Yeah, lots of different points like that. That one, yeah, I forgot. That was a very good. I should have rewatched it. That was a very good part. Yeah, where her and Ahsoka are trapped and having to accept the idea of death. And then, we're dying for nothing really here.
That's some PTSD.
Yeah, and then I have this quote here from Ahsoka. She was wrong about a lot of things. She let her anger cloud her judgment, and she tried to justify her actions without considering their wider effects. She's afraid of the war, and she didn't trust people she should have listened to. But she had a point about the Republic and the Jedi. There was something wrong with them, and we were too locked into our traditions to see what it was. She should have done something else. She shouldn't have killed anyone, and she definitely shouldn't have framed me for it. But if we had listened to her, really listened to her, we might have been able to stop Palpatine before he took power.
That's from the Ahsoka novel, right?
Huh?
That was from the Ahsoka novel.
I believe so, yeah.
One thing I was going to say surprised about that is I know what they did with Thrawn and then Captain Phasma. They took their book and made it into a mini series of comics. I'm surprised they never did that with the Ahsoka one, because that one I thought was really good. They've retconned like one or two things since with the Mandalorian, and Rebels, but they never. All of it's still canon, so I'm surprised they never adopted it. It's a pretty good story.
And so that's pretty powerful. I mean, for Star Wars, like let's not get him. This wasn't actually happening, but I will say another reason why we were talking about this was because it does explain some things, and I really don't like talking about the movies that should never be discussed on this show. But after hearing that and listening to all these famous Jedi and seeing what happened, if you're Luke Skywalker, you can kind of understand why he maybe didn't want to go back that traditional path where they were so locked in. They couldn't even see that 2 feet in front of them was one of the most powerful dark side users in history, and they didn't even notice it because they were 2 feet away. Yeah. You can kind of see with these kind of comments, because now we know, which is kind of silly. You think about it, this character they threw in to make some, heartwarming. Oh, she's fun. She zips around Anakin. It's funny. And now she's like a pretty major character. Now she's like going through history, and she obviously at some point probably ran into Luke, and she has this opinion. She was there to see it. She probably shared it with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost like old Jedi paths lead to the dark side unless you choose to take some other different course. The Jedi training is going to take you to the dark side no matter what. Yeah,
and I do think there is something to be said if you're, I remember, this is probably a little too controversial, but let's say that you're in a part of the country that they're extremely religious, and they don't let them see the light of day. They're not allowed to have caffeine or have fun in any kind of way. And then eventually they have to leave and go to college. And it was in my experience that those kids tend to go way, way, way too far off, even if it's for a short amount of time. And it's like, not saying that you should let your kids have a little bit of dark side, but if they don't know how to handle those because they've never been given opportunities to, then it hits you really hard. And I think that might have been stuff that was happening to Jedi. If you're going to go so far, then, But you can understand through history, whenever Jedis went bad, they went real bad and killed entire solar systems and things. So, you understand why.
They just need to sit down and have a good talk with Yoda more often.
Maybe don't talk to Yoda more often. Although I think Samuel L. Jackson had a little something to do with this. Samuel L. Jackson's like always in the corner somewhere when some very questionable decisions were made, and he's always kind of, maybe we do, maybe we don't.
His head slightly. He doesn't even do.
I was going to say this. Also, the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. There was a little bit of controversy with that game because the developers had announced that she was going to be in it, and she was going to be like the second or third sister. They announced it. They made it official.
No
then
way.
Filoni and Star Wars immediately released things saying she would not be in that game, and she was not the second or third sister. And then the developers kind of backtracked and was like, "Oh, that was just like maybe it could be and maybe not." But I definitely remember when it was officially announced on their like a YouTube thing that she was going to be in the game. She's definitely not in the game, but and yeah. So sometimes when you have the green light in games. You make sure that you're talking to Filoni before you decide that you're going to use one of his characters, because he seems the only person that has the power to pick up a phone and say nope. And they're like, "Yeah, sorry about that. It was just like a fun idea we had."
He already has.
Filoni, he doesn't let you just use his characters like that. No. You can do whatever you want to Luke Skywalker, for God's sakes. I mean, who cares about that guy? But if you try to use one of the cartoon characters, we're not having that.
Get stamp of approval for that one.
Yeah, so I thought this was super. Hey, what's up, Area 51?
Slipping out.
She makes a good Inquisitor.
So yeah, get into like the thoughts of where they could do with her now. What do you guys think would be the best course of action for her? Because I think what it looks like they might do is bring her into Ahsoka for sure.
Oh, of course. They probably already cast her.
I think you could go two ways. You could make it where she escaped through, the chaos of the situation, and she's kind of out there trying to either mind her own business or, walking the line, or you could just straight say that she's full on Jedi hunter thing. I think you could go either way with her. Because of the way she never really seemed. It's hard to say she doesn't seem evil whenever she kills her friends and frames people. So clearly she is, but she still had that sense that she thought she was doing something better. So it's like, how deep do you want her to be?
Right.
Because you get into a problem when you start to make these kind of shows on Disney, where if you make them too powerful or too famous, it doesn't make sense. Like I had that same issue with Rebels, even though I love Rebels because it's me and my son's favorite show.
Yeah,
they got way too famous, and it doesn't make sense they're trying to retcon, especially Hera. They're trying to sprinkle her in here and there, but it doesn't make sense that two clearly Jedis are running around causing havoc on some really famous worlds, including right in front of Darth Vader, and they were never mentioned at all in any parts. You know what I mean? So you're trying to get in that sticky situation with her.
Yeah.
Right.
So one thing I was thinking of she was fun was that one place I could have seen her ended up, but they never did it or never used it was with Saw Gerrera, because his group of guys
towards the end, yeah, absolutely,
who are very much more dark, and they're very they blow up the Jedi Temple too. I think so. She'd fit right in with them, but obviously they never go that route. So something else must happen with her.
When is Ahsoka supposed to be set?
I don't think they've mentioned it. It has to be at a point where Rosario Dawson's playing her. So probably after. Who knows? It has to be after Return of the Jedi, is my thought, at the very least.
Wow. Well, it depends on the story they want to tell, because don't forget, in the cartoon, which is canon, Rebels, she went off looking for Ezra and all them. Yeah. And by then she's already full grown. She's a full grown woman. She's not little snipes or whatever anymore. So I don't think it would be, unless they're going to tell that story, which I'd be surprised they're going to tell that story.
By that point, Mandalorian, she's still looking for them because she's looking for Thrawn. Thrawn with Ezra, so she's still in that period of time.
Yeah, so it has to be around there, but
a long time since Order 66, but they're going to have to maybe mention it somehow.
Either she's all battle scarred up and beat from escaping the prison, or she was voluntarily chosen for
one of the two, definitely. Yeah. And it makes sense if she was one of the sisters, because then she's in a helmet and everything, and you kind of get away with that. Mm-hmm. But
and then you can have fun with and sprinkle her around while still keeping it enough that you don't have to be like, oh, show her face, how is she not here the whole time, kind of thing.
And then like as in the game that I just mentioned, a spoiler, but not all of the sisters and brothers are like all in. Like when the chips are down, they kind of like, oh my God, kind of what did I do? Because I mean they're bad, but when more bads show up, they're kind of like, wow, this we've maybe gone too far. So you could be one of the sisters or brothers and not be full on Darth Vader evil style. You can be kind of wishy-washy about it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we talked about this character, because I thought that she was a way deeper character, and she's tragically not been used by Disney. I mean, thank you, Marvel, because I could have a list of some of my favorite characters. I'm going to keep mentioning Bishop every chance I get that are not used correctly, and I think that there's an opportunity to like really do something interesting with her, because that's the first.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it with Count Dooku, but Count Dooku is Count Dooku. Like he
was also a master on the council, and he when he left to them, he basically just returned to being a count.
Yeah, and then also
she actively, she actively attacked at first, opposed to running away and then making this coalition.
And then when you read the books and stuff, especially the books, he was always like he's down for the cause, but at the same time, if he get the opportunity for him to be the one in charge, you know what I mean? Like he still thinks he can do it better.
Mm-hmm.
With her, you believe that she honestly believes this is the only way I can get people's attention, that the Jedi must be stopped because they're so. Like I think even her, she's more of a deeper character when it comes to pointing out the flaws of the Jedi.
Yeah, she didn't have a pedestal to stand on originally. She's been very low run. She wasn't even a knight. She wasn't even a knight by the time she.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. But every time I looked up, especially on Disney, some of Disney stuff, they called her a Jedi Knight. I'm like, I didn't think she actually became a knight.
That was the whole time I was trying to remember. I was typing up the thing. I'm like, was she a Padawan when she was exiled, or was she a knight? And she was always she was a Padawan. She never.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because I had to redo my opening scene because I called her a Padawan. Then I was reading and I was like, well, on this Star Wars thing, it says she was a knight. So, but I don't remember her ever officially.
She never received the knighthood. She always only ever Padawan.
All right,
she had no braid to cut off, so you couldn't tell.
But if you're in the company of your master all the time, then you're always going to be the Padawan.
That's true. Hey, she that's why she had bombed the temple. She had no upward movement in the company.
She wanted to make a change in management, and the only one way to do it. So, what did you think, Dave, about this character? Did you know a lot about her before we started?
No, and I do remember seeing her in the background in Attack of the Clones, and I wondered. I don't have those Republic issues, so I never saw that before. Researching this episode, but no, I really enjoyed researching her. I think she's a really deep character with some potential.
I mean, and the obvious I don't know, elephant in the room is Disney seems to like to try to push female and other things in the forefront, and this is the opportunity again. I think Star Wars actually does a good job with their female characters, that you could make an awesome character. Ventress is another one that I think they've done a little bit with her, but they could do way more. And and it is weird because she is.
Know what happened to Ventress currently, right?
I don't think so. After her with Voss, after that, I think
after Dark Apprentice, was it? No, Dark Disciple, wasn't it?
Either Dark Apprentice or Dark Disciple. I think it's Disciple.
Yeah.
Then I think in that she is super upset about what happened in that book, and then I think she just kind of fades off in the distance. I don't know if they ever actually said what happened to her. We'll have to do her, I guess, and then find out what they say happened to her.
Well, then we'll have to be very careful with the other 2D Clone Wars then.
No,
that's the first appearance of her, so we have to.
And the problem is she's awesome in that, and I don't know if I want to rattle that Disney cage again. They do not like me using that cartoon.
Hey, well, I thought you talked to them about it already.
Well, listen, they were not thrilled about that.
They closed the door, right?
At least they kept making her awesome, unlike Grievous.
Unlike Grievous, I will tell you right now, I have never been hit with another copyright claim since I stopped using that cartoon. Not once. I got hit what was like 27 on that one video alone, and they've never hit me again since I stopped using that cartoon. I'm just saying, and I'm using openly using their voices and everything, and they have not hit me. And
they didn't even release it when they released all that.
That's a funny thing. So I wonder now if you used it, would they get mad?
Well, we'll start a YouTube channel for you, and you release it and see what happens to them. Because I've already got a warning from YouTube multiple times. Like, all right, listen. Disney. You're a little more important. Disney's a little more important than you. Stop messing around with Disney, please. And I'm like, you got a point. You got a point. All right, so there we go. So do we have any new books for this?
We have two, and one of which has too many covers.
Well, it wouldn't be the same without it.
Yeah, and then we have some news after that we'll talk about.
All right, here we go.
Wow, we
Right.
missed out on recent comics from last week too.
I know we missed out for a good bit, but this doesn't make it up, but still makes it up somehow. Your favorites on the cover of this one?
You may start at number 1.
The very girl at the very top.
Very top.
It should be in order. Nope.
Further up.
Oh, there's further up. Oh, it is. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So first off, IDW, they have High Republic Adventures.
Is that the
at-
Swartz? Is that the Swartz? Tell me that's the Swartz right there. That's the power of the Schwartz.
It is totally Mel Brooks. Kind of Mel
That's what
Brooks.
that is. That's the power of the Schwartz. Now I'm gonna get hit by Disney and Mel Brooks or whatever his name is.
Mel Brooks would actually pay off the lawsuit for you, I'm sure. So that's the A cover.
Is she a
for-
Medusa?
Sorry.
Is she a Medusa or
Honestly,
her hair like that?
apparently this is better than the main series.
It is.
Everyone talks about it.
It's really
Awesome.
good. I like the guy with the
Kind of
helmet.
interesting.
Yes, the villain. Obviously, seems to the villains too. You don't have plants. You have the ones everyone's excited for, the Space Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
For that issue, there's a B cover done by Yale Nathan. It's a 1-in-10 ratio. I mean, that outfit's pretty cool though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I kind of like the way this is looking.
Is
Yeah,
that-
would you ever do a cosplay of that? Like because you're paying
He's a
that
fan.
on.
These right here need to be fans, and he'd do it. You gotta have fans. Cool air
Fans.
system.
Yeah, I mean that fan on the front of the helmet, it could kind of go with the look. But I mean, I think it's controversial to be wearing Wookiee fur.
I mean,
No,
as
that's
long
good.
as someone's is Bosk with you, you find a Bosk cosplayer, you're fine.
Yeah, no, I think that would be cool.
Ooh, yes, sir.
So-
All right.
Other than that, there is only one other issue, which is Star Wars 14. So this is the first issue that's in the War of the Bounty Hunters event that crosses over. The last one was the prelude issue. This is the first official.
And it's good to see Chewie on the cover. You don't see.
I know. Yeah,
Chewie. What? Let me help you out with this problem you got right now. Chewie? Are you kidding me?
him.
What do we have
Oh.
here?
Well, you're gonna be graced with another Lando cover next. And
Oh,
you're-
Oh, watch out, ladies. Hide the ladies. Hide them.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with Lando these
What are
days,
they
hide
alluding-
everything.
Hide everything.
Likes it all.
What are they alluding to here? It's the rainbow.
Well, this one was the
Is he the B in the acronym?
yeah. That was the that's funny. That's the B cover. It's the so it was funny, that's the Pride variant, but when I looked it up, the name Byrne came up, and I'm like, this is not John Byrne. There's no way. And then it's a Stephen Byrne. I don't recognize the name.
It's his third cousin on his mom's side. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Spelled the same with a Y, YR.
Yeah. And then you got the classic JTC action figure cover. You know,
I hate action figure covers except for Star Wars. I don't know why it is, but like
Yeah.
I like the action figure covers for Star
What
Wars.
is that? A B wing?
it's a B-wing pilot, the most popular. I wonder at what point. I noticed it occasionally. I'm like, at what point are they going to run out, or are they just going to be going the most obscure things possible? Like, hey, B-wing pilot.
Can we just talk about this helmet? Like, what in the hell?
If he gets into a crash, his head will be immediately concussed, but his ears, he won't be ringing. You won't hear any ringing in his ears.
It looks
one of
like
those,
either looks like a Turtle Beach like video game headset, or like a wrestler's kind of head
Yeah.
thing. But then this
Yeah.
is like 1920s football leather. Like I
But
don't.
what's funny is the straps really under his chin there pulling up, but there's nothing on the top that's pulling down.
Oh, it's true. I guess it's stitched in. Look how wide that thing is too. That's like 3 times bigger than his chin. That's
Choking himself
Wow.
every time he
Oh,
pulls
absolutely.
the B-wing back.
That's retro 70s helmet.
And then
That's
you have the last variant. This is the so after they did the Empire Strikes Back, they decide, you know what, let's just make more variants for anniversary stuff. So they have a Lucasfilm 50 anniversary set, and this is the
Wow.
one for Star Wars. I mean,
That's a regular price cover, right?
if I'm not mistaken, sadly the website Fresh Comics doesn't give mentions on exact ratios.
That's kind of a cool cover, though.
It's really cool. Yeah, I love it.
And then and then there is one more. There is the
Don't tell me it's a ratio. That's horrible.
That's not a good cover.
So here's the thing.
Even with him in it, I'm not impressed with this
Here's
cover.
the thing.
Who is it supposed to be? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but who the hell is this supposed to be right here? Who is this?
It's
Ray.
It better be.
Ray.
I think I know who they're thinking it is, but that ain't who that is.
Well, it's kind of funny. So that's done by Javier Rodriguez. Anyways, looking at the cover, if you removed, okay, well actually I'm looking at a couple of things here. If you removed Leia, I was gonna say it actually looks pretty cool with the Boba's helmet. Then I'm like, okay, Chewbacca, you gotta get rid of him too. He looks a little bit like a thumb there.
He looks like the action figure.
He looks. Lando's kind of like. You don't see his face detail much, but the cape's good. Lobot.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how to fix this. You get rid of everybody,
everything
except for the helmet and
Lobot.
Lando, and you're golden. Everything else.
I mean, that actually would be kind of cool if it was just Lando more focused on the right, and then
because this guy is just like a face with like 3 lines, and then another line.
He's the
like
hype. He's this hype man. That's all.
Who is that? I don't even know. Like
Lobot.
Why put him on the cover?
Yeah. It's a weird one. I haven't looked at the artist. I'm curious now because of the, how bad that was.
This takes me back to those 70s Star Wars books with Lando.
You know what? I'm looking at
the colored cape, the purple. It should be purple.
It should be some kind of purple, yeah.
Yes, the purple. The more I'm looking at that, I'm curious quickly if he did the art to what I'm thinking of.
Colonel is also saying that this is a dollar store type of situation.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So is that it for the comics? Are we going into news?
That's it for the comics. And then there is news, which you have one item in here, one picture for news.
Did we establish, was that a ratio?
We're not going to establish it. No money should be spent.
That's a ratio you all should be ashamed of yourself. And may the Lord have mercy on your soul.
So yeah, for news we have 3 little pieces of news. Well, 2 news. One thing I found that was just a fun little thing to talk about. So in there's a picture right there. So Hasbro announced, really weird. This is they have some new Black Series figures in development. They
Shut
literally
up, Hasbro. God damn it.
So this is funny. All I say is this pipeline reveals. These are what's going to be there, and I had to keep clicking the website because I thought the image was not rendering. The images on the characters are such a low quality.
Is it supposed to be like a hollow pad or something, or what are they?
It is, but look at Nomad Boba Fett. Can you tell me that's him? If you didn't even.
No, I wouldn't know who that is. To be honest.
Well,
with you.
this is clear that this is Book of Boba Fett figures.
Yeah, so you have
Jedi
Patrol, Bib Fortuna, Fennec, and all that. Which and then you can get your very own Bill Burr action figure. So
the Bill Burr one, I'm actually concerned and not happy to see it. I like Bill Burr's character, but I think he'll definitely be one of those people that when he shows up for 30 seconds every 5th episode, he's good. But if he has any more than that, I don't know, man. This guy's not exactly an actor, so I don't know about that one.
Nomad Boba Fett, sure.
Do we know if the bib is the fat bib? Because if it's the fat bib, they got my money. If it's regular bib,
as long as it comes with one of the ones that has the big foldable part, and you see him with the throne,
right? Or you can add things in his mouth, and he gets fatter. Or
like the old Ghostbusters toys.
You feed him the frogs, like Jabba's old frogs, wherever those were, and you just keep feeding them those. Who is this?
Timothy Oliphant figure.
Yeah, Cobb Vanth. Remember the guy who finds or buys Boba Fett's armor? I love that. That was such a great character.
Oh, yeah, like the sheriff guy or whatever he was.
Sheriff.
Yeah. He's going to be in Rangers, I think. Rangers of the Republic would be my guess. He'll show up there.
I hope they give us a cool armor then.
Yep.
So that's the only picture I have for anything there for the news.
What kind of stormtrooper was it?
Sorry?
What kind of stormtrooper was that? Jabba
Just a
Palace.
Jedi patrol trooper. So
Patrol
he looks
trooper.
the same as a regular patrol troopers, except he has a little different sand on them than
Let me
Tatooine
tell you
sand.
something. You don't collect. You're not full blown collecting action figures. Let me tell you what Disney does. They'll change a spec on it and then call a whole nother stormtrooper, and it gets sold out within like a week. Stormtroopers sell out no matter what it is. It could be. They had a Christmas edition stormtrooper.
Oh, I remember that. That was sold immediately.
What does it look like? The Grinch?
No, it's just like looks like somebody put wrapping paper around a stormtrooper.
Oh my god,
it's pretty funny.
Puppy dog pals. We're gonna have to talk about that later, Colonel.
What the hell is puppy dog?
I don't know what a puppy dog pals is. Though.
But well, that actually transitions us pretty good into this other news, which so it seemingly is the filming has wrapped for Book of Boba Fett. The actress for Fennec Shan had posted some pictures, and it looked like it was basically filmed wrapped up. But there had been specifically one of the images of those that had leaked showed the term S1 at the end of it. So,
season 1.
So everyone's obviously thinking this is going to be a multiple season show opposed to a one-off season like how the Marvel shows have been.
Well, I mean, at least you can at least leave it open for depends on what it ratings and things do, and then you can because we're already been going for an hour and 11 minutes, and if we go into a rant about another Star Wars show, we'll be here for the 2 hours. You don't want me Omega. You don't want me going into that
Omega
freaking fiasco.
We're not talking about that.
We
have to do a whole nother show. I'm seriously I'm so ready to rant about that. I will be.
We'll save a special episode for the episode.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Finale. For the finale, we'll do a whole episode based on it.
Yeah, we can talk about
that's not bad.
Rika, Rika and Teak.
And we're gonna have you every time I want to rant. We're gonna have you do your best Kiwi impression because you're gonna be the closest of any of us. Because I'm just gonna do
all we can say is Omega. That's all.
Omega.
But other than that, this is a little thing I found. I thought it was fun. So apparently, some company had done a study where they looked at hashtags on Instagram for tattoos, seeing what film franchise has the most tattoos. What franchise has the most tattoos on people, and number one came up with Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely.
And the number they came up with was 322,000 separate tattoos.
That seems low. I'm gonna tell you right now, from what I've seen walking around the world.
Yeah. So here's the fun part was number 2. Could you guess what number 2 was?
Freddy Krueger.
I would say like Jason or something.
Number 2 is Harry Potter with 280,000.
Harry Potter, really? Wow.
You know, so I was like, okay, cool. I can see that. And number 3 was fun because I was like,
people get like Gryffindor on their arm or something.
All those ones.
Well, because you know what, Star Wars. I mean, there's a lot of girls in Star Wars, but let's be honest, mostly it's guys. Especially when I saw Disney walking around there, and guys seem to like to put Star Wars on their legs, which is kind of weird. I've noticed that though. But and Harry Potter, Harry Potter transcends everything. Girls, moms, grandmas, boys, everybody would get a little small Harry Potter, even if it's like a little lightning bolt. I remember that. I remember there used to be little lightning bolts when I was in college of girls would put on their wrists and stuff. Which they probably have turned into like their kid's birth date now or something, I'm sure. But
they changed it to a 1, basically.
What was the third one then?
So the third one. So this is what I was reading it because I was like, this is weird. So it said Batman and Bat Family related ones. So and it said 111,000. Now it specifically said it was only film and cartoon depictions, comic panels, and art were not counted in that number. So basically, you had stuff like the Christopher Nolan Batman and Joker. You had Joker from the new movie, Mark Hamill's Joker from the cartoons, and all the different movie bat symbols. But the ones from the comics and like comic art was not considered in that number because otherwise, I'm sure that number would be humongous compared to it.
Yeah, just simple Batman symbol, man. That was, you know, I'm
The,
sure
the Tim Burton one alone was all.
yeah,
all over the
I would
place.
think so. Absolutely.
And then after that, they gave numbers for the other ones, but they didn't give So they gave rankings for the other ones, but they didn't give the amounts. Number 4 was actually Friday the 13th, which is pretty funny. You guessed that.
Wow.
And then Alice in Wonderland was number.
Oh yeah, that's another.
And number 6 was Spider-Man.
Wow, Spider-Man, really?
But only because you think about it, if it's only movies, then it has to be the Sam Raimi ones, and it has to be no one's getting the Amazing Spider-Man, so it has to be the MCU after that.
Okay, I guess I could see if you did a stylized spider, because other than that, I don't know how you would do a spider. I mean, unless you're gonna do a full art piece where Spider-Man,
Like the realism ones, and then that's it. Yeah. So yeah, those are the ones they gave off, and then they had that's the one all they mentioned, and then they had their link.
Out of those, what 2 do you guys have?
Star Wars.
You have a Star Wars one?
If I can turn my arm properly, obviously it's upside down. But right there is the actually see if you can guess it, Craig.
I cannot. It looks like Mandalorian, but it's not. So I don't know what that is.
It's the Imperial Shuttle.
Your mic's you guys are frozen for me. Oh, you're here.
No,
Imperial
so
Shuttle?
it is actually the Mandalorian. It's the Neo Crusaders from KOTOR 2.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was actually the first tattoo I got as well. It was I was 16, and I decided to get
that
it.
That was the first tattoo you got right there?
Huh?
That was the first one right there, like
yeah,
that?
first right there in the middle.
Oh, your mom was proud, wasn't she? Was your mom proud of that one?
She got tattooed at the same time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Star Wars." Okay. I was
so you didn't go deeper, and it's like some random video game that only like 1% of the population played.
I was originally just gonna get the Mythosaur skull, but I was like, you know what? I loved because when I played Knights of the Republic 2, I played the one the most, and I loved I love that whole part of the game and those guys. So I'm like, and I like that symbol they used. I'm like, that was a really cool one. So obviously trying to be a little different.
I'm curious, what was the one your mom got that day? Was it the lightning bolt?
With the HP on either side of the H lightning bolt P?
That'd be really funny. No, she just got like a little, and this was her first tattoo as well. It was like a little simple rose, basically on her arm.
Don't drug users use roses so they don't hide the tracks? What you tell us about your mom?
I hope not. No, yeah.
So, Dave, do you not have a Star Wars or any other thing on a tattoo?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a tattoo. If I did, it'd be Star Wars for sure.
Well,
I think yours would be Alien. Like it would be the Xenomorph.
Yeah, that'd probably be a close second.
So I am also zero tattoo free. I have 0 tattoos. But I guess I know our next company meetup, what we're going to be doing while we're there.
Yeah. I was also still disappointed that never happened. Everyone was thoroughly tired.
Let me tell you something. The scary thing about it is if we did that, we're going to have to go offline and discuss it. If we were like, hey, let's go get tattoos when we meet up together, because Barbarian carries his around and he's going to try to be like, I can do it. And I am not letting Barbarian come.
Well, he did bring his.
I'm telling you, he thinks he's going to put tattoos on people.
I was waiting for it.
No way. He wouldn't put a smiley face on my ankle if I had got away with it. It's not happening.
While you're asleep.
All right. So do we know what we're doing next week?
Absolutely not.
No.
All right. Well,
as always.
As usual, if you're watching this and you want us to do a certain character, let us know what it could be.
For sure. Please do.
We're gonna change the show from Bounty Hunters. We're gonna rename it. I'm just doing this right here to Over the Shoulder Boys or Over the Shoulders. Seem to be our favorite kind of characters. Yes, Barriss was me. Hey, Tacoma, what's happening, dude? All right. So what do you guys think? Last thing, was she right, or was she just simply touched by the dark side?
I think she knew a lot more than people think. And she was on to Palpatine. She was onto something that just hasn't been said about the Jedi that could be explored. But she needs to be explored a lot more, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, I definitely think she was definitely not touched by the dark side. I definitely think she was not quite right, but she was definitely leaning more on that side.
I mean, I know I would think if this is the real world and we did have stuff like the Force, I would think you could easily say she's just one of those people who went a little crazy. And, you know, we have it all the time in our modern world, unfortunately. And it could be explained to that. But because of Star Wars world, if you do think evil, the dark side got in you and she is a Jedi. So I think it would probably be perceived. And I think that's how, if you go back and look at it, how they kind of wrote her off is that she fell to the dark side. But I think that was an easy excuse and kind of vilified her that she would just, you know, there you go. That's what happens when you get in the dark side.
She was just more of a victim of her circumstances, of who she was as a race and her beliefs and religions, as a Padawan, and that angle from the Jedi training. But also, I think that brainworm did a number on her.
He's got a brainworm theory. He's going to stick with it.
Split personality, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't let brainworms into your home.
But also,
episode.
we also see it a little bit in our modern world too, I think, where people can, you know, we're talking about, you know, getting the poke. You can't actually say what it is on YouTube, apparently. But the poke and everything else. If you know, there's people will, you know, you'll go from a hero to a zero for, you know, disagreeing with things. And I think it shows you how fast, like we said earlier, she was considered the best, the shining example of what a Padawan should be. Within a drop of a hat, she was evil, dark side. Don't mention her again. She's done for. And then no really examination of what happened.
Yeah, basically.
Is he good?
What happened?
Oh,
what's up with that dog?
There's a dog.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining us. And next week we'll have somebody else. Maybe Tacoma can tell us who he thinks we should do. And all right. Have a great night.